everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 8th day of November in the year 2023. Sure hope you're enjoying your Wednesday, no matter where it is you are in the country. And we join you live today, one day after the election of 2023, to do a recap of the events of last night in the town of Kearny that saw the mayoral election finally get here and come to a close. And as you can see on your screen, and if you don't know by now, that means you've been sleeping for 24 hours or 12 hours. If you don't know by now, Jean Doyle is now the mayor of Kearny, and she won the election last night with a total of 1,720 votes. Coming in second place is Republican Sidney J. Ferreira, who is a realtor in the town of Kearny. He had 1,439 votes. And Peter Santana, the former interim mayor and former councilman, finished in third with 1,412 votes in the end. And before I get into a little bit of an analysis of the day, which is what I often do the day after an election, and of course, before I do anything, I'm going to welcome in my buddy Larry Hanlon, who says, "Good afternoon, Kevin. It's a great day for Kearny." Can't disagree with that, Larry. And our friend Manny Ventoso Jr., who is here and who has been up and running around since like the crack of 2 hours before the crack of dawn today. I don't know how you're even awake right now, but I hope you're feeling okay with what you're doing. But as I was saying, before I get into an analysis of the events of last night, I want to show a video from this morning when Jean Doyle was sworn in to be Kearny's new mayor at around 9:30 by town clerk Pat Carpenter. So without any further ado, here's that video. We'll be right back.
I, Jean Doyle, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and to the governments established in the United States, and this state, under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office
of mayor,
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God. Last night. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's never easy. It is never easy going against the norm. But we did it. We did it for the right reasons. I think we did it fairly, with dignity, and certainly with the support of all of you. I so appreciate you. We have a job to get done. We have to govern this town and move it forward for all the people that live here. So I so appreciate it. A special shout out to Chief Harris, my son. I missed him last night. 500 sons, a lot of sons. And Carol helped. Mary Treen helped. Lila kept him in her car. Mary Treen's car is always borrowed by her son. So again, each one of you know how special you are to me personally. And thank you. And thanks for being here and doing this.
Did you see how she did that? Did you see what she did? She stood up there and she had everybody who was present at town hall this morning gather behind her. And Pat read the oath of office. Carol Jean Doyle responded, took the oath, and became mayor. There was nothing outlandish. There was no bagpiping, as there were 4 months ago. There were no outlandish ceremonies, as there were 4 months ago. She just took the oath of office and went and ran with it. What she did was show an immense amount of class and grace, the way an elected official should. And I, for one, think she was very, very cordial and gracious in the way she handled the ceremony today. She didn't need to have bagpipers there. Now, but this is with all due respect to the bagpiping community. George King, don't get mad at me because this is not what I'm saying. But it was just very simple. It was elegant, and it was right to the point. And she had everybody who was there behind her because she knew that if it weren't for those people who were standing behind her, she wouldn't be standing there right now. And that's what she did. That was how she handled it this morning. And the way she did it today was the way it should have been done 4 months ago, but it wasn't. And so you look at that and you see a diametrically opposed change already in just a few minutes of her mayoralty. And it just shows. And I think, I'll take a look at some of the comments. I welcome in Henry Atwell and Eileen also, who is here, and Carol Manley. This is wonderful. We love you, Carol Jean, and we know that's how Carol feels about Carol Jean. She was there with her along the way and is one of the reasons why she won the election last night. And Larry Hanlon, as usual, the voice of reason, says she's ready to get to work. Her experience shows. She got right down to business today. She didn't need to have the pomp and circumstance of being installed as the mayor. Now, could she have? Certainly. And I'm sure maybe 20 years ago she might have. But she just wanted to get down to business. That's what she did. She won the election, and she didn't need to have people from Harrison there. She didn't need to have people from another town there. She didn't need to have anybody from Hudson County there. She just took office, and she ran with it. And let me tell you a few things that happened this morning. I'll get to that actually in a minute. I'll tell you a few things that happened today that you should know about. But before I do that, I'm gonna show you some pictures too from today that will give you a very good idea of what the day was like. This is Carol Jean at the town hall chambers, and I want you to look at the woman who is above her. The location of this picture is just perfect. That is Therese Jones. In 1938, Therese Jones' husband Arthur died in office, and the party that she belonged to, and I don't remember whether she was a Republican or a Democrat, chose Arthur Jones's wife, Therese, who you can see here, to be his replacement. And she served from October 12th, 1938 until December 31st, 1938. And then another mayor took office. And then, unfortunately, she died not too long after that. But Therese Jones was the first woman in the history of Kearny to be the mayor, but she was also never elected to the position because after that time, that 2 months period ended, she left and somebody else became the mayor. So Carol Jean becomes the first female to ever hold the office of mayor, having been elected to that office. So that'll give you an idea a little bit about her. And she took this photo this morning right by Therese Jones because she was the only other woman who ever sat in that seat. And many of you will know Therese Jones and her husband Arthur without knowing it. If you've ever driven on Kearny Avenue, over by Midland, before Locust and Columbia Avenue, the bridge that goes over the former railroad tracks of New Jersey Transit, that is the Jones Memorial Bridge. And it is named in honor of Therese Jones and her husband who had died just before her, Arthur Jones. So I know you have all seen that before. And as you can see in this picture, she was sitting at the council dais in the seat that she will now occupy for at least the next 2 years and 2 months, and perhaps even longer than that, because unlike has been reported in other news agencies, she has already rescinded, and she did months ago, the notion that she will just serve for 2 years. If she enjoys it and things go well, she said she would consider running again for re-election. So don't think that this is a temporary thing. And that's what some of her opponents, including Eileen Eckel, said over and over. We need stability. We need somebody who's going to do this for long term. Well, you got somebody who's going to do it long term. And I don't think anybody's looking for somebody to be the mayor for 23 years again, okay? So that's what you asked for, and that's what you got in Carol Jean Doyle. You got somebody who was going to provide stability that wasn't present for the last 4 months. No matter how you look at it, there was so much instability over the last 4 months that it was embarrassing sometimes to have to see. And so that's what you're seeing right there. You're seeing somebody sitting in a chair who brings stability to the office, who brings credibility to the office immediately, that did not exist from July until yesterday. But that's what she's doing there. She's sitting there. This, I should have taken this one in reverse order. But this morning, this sign was pasted onto the door for a person who had an interim title. An interim title. You don't do that when you are an interim title. When you don't know if something is permanent, you don't go put it on the door like that. But that's what happened here. That's what happened here. And the letterhead was changed. And other things were changed. And the secretary, who was there for many, many years, was fired. She got fired today. And she's gone. And Lila DeCastro is back where she belongs, sitting in the chair as the secretary to the mayor. Now, that sign was taken down this morning by DPW, as you can see, and it will be replaced by Lynn Signs, who will be putting up the new mayor's name. Now, that is because it's a permanent thing. When somebody is an interim or takes the interim title, you don't replace things like that. You wait until it is permanent. It is such a pretentious way to handle things, to go out and presume you are the heir apparent and you're going to keep that chair for years to come. But that's exactly what happened, again, in the last 4 months. But that's not what happened, as you can tell. I'm sorry. Here's another picture that was taken at Town Hall this morning in front of the mayor's office. And this one was taken, of course, just before Mrs. Doyle was sworn in. There's a lot of familiar faces here in this crowd. Let me just point, if you look to the right, look, Carol Jean's son, Norman Bogey Doyle, is there next to her. He's the tall gentleman to her right, and to your left, looking, if you're staring at the screen, and that's Carol. That is also next to Bogey. Norman, the third, is Councilwoman Mary Trine DeCastro, and that is Lila DeCastro next to her with the blondish color hair. Lila was the one who was removed from office by the interim mayor, who is, the former interim mayor, without informing her of it. That happened the day he became the interim mayor. He removed Lila from the office. He fired her, is basically what he did, and didn't even tell her. And then wanted the new person to train her. Yeah, okay. Did not happen. And to the very right of that picture, next to, I wish I knew who the gentleman is with the dog. I know he's, maybe Melanie is watching, so Melanie may know who that is. I don't know who it is, but that's also retired Deputy Chief George Harris. And then that is Lou Batista, who also works in Hudson County. Then Ed Shea, who is an employee also in Hudson County, and Jerry Facito, all the way at the right, who is a councilman. So I want to point something out about this picture, too, just to give you an idea of how petty some people can be. You see Councilman Facito here in the picture, and you also see Councilwoman Lila DeCastro, Mary Trine DeCastro, who is in that photo today. Okay, you notice what is missing from that photo today. I'm going to tell you, in case you don't know. It's Councilwoman Eileen Eckel. It's Councilman Richard Konopka. It's freshman Councilman George Zapata, who has been serving on the town council for 10 months, and freshman Councilman Status Theodoropoulos, who has also served for 10 months. I don't care what happened before this. Every member of that council should have been there for that picture today, for the swearing in of a mayor. You don't avoid that, no matter what your politics are. But they didn't show up. They were not there. And it shows. And it shows me something, that as much as Jean Doyle probably wanted to heal this rift with the dopes over there, it's not going to happen, because they couldn't even show up today. And Eileen Eccles retired, so there's no reason why she couldn't have been there. And Rich Konopka could have been there too, because he can go wherever the hell he wants. He works for Passaic Valley. Anybody who works for Passaic Valley can do whatever they want on their own time. Everybody knows that. Oh, and Dennis Solano wasn't there either. But we're going to excuse him because he doesn't go to anything. Since he's been appointed to the council, somehow he won on the figures last night. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how it happened, but he won by 28 votes. Now, there are still some provisional ballots out there, so that could still change in the second ward. But this guy went to the first meeting after he was sworn in, and didn't say a word because they told him since he was just being appointed to the council, he wasn't allowed to talk. Then, the next meeting, he didn't show up. But he was there that day. He was there to take pictures on the steps of Town Hall. And he was there to take pictures. And then he left before he got to the council meeting. He didn't go to the council meeting. And his biggest contribution so far, the biggest contribution he has made so far to being on the town council, is saying that I liked the food at the fire open house. I liked the food. That's what he said. That's what his contribution has been so far. And somehow, as of now, the voting tallies say that he's been reelected. Well, let's see. Let's hope that those provisional ballots change the outcome of that. Because, listen, even if he did win, I wouldn't be surprised if he resigned anyway. Because he's so far in over his head, it's not even funny. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I really haven't. And there were many people over the years who have accused members of Al Santos's cabinet or council of being put there because they will do whatever he asked for. And so far, I think that's becoming more and more evident, don't you? I mean, that they'll do whatever he would say. And now that he's gone, they're just on a limb all by themselves. So I don't know what Rich Konopka is going to do without Pete Santana. I don't know what Eileen Eccles is going to do without him. And Status and George don't go anywhere unless Pete was with them. And they were there with a vertical video to put on TikTok and onto YouTube. So God knows what's going to happen there. Okay? So this is what your council looks like. And they didn't have the decency to show up today. And as Melanie just said in the chat room, Status works for himself, so there was no reason why he couldn't be there. Melanie also noticed, and I agree, Peter had a reason not to be there. God forgive me, his uncle died sadly and tragically at the age of 59 last Sunday. And may God rest his soul, and we pray for him and his family, and Councilman Jim Doran in Harrison, whose brother he was. Way too young to die. So the former interim mayor had a reason not to be there today. But the rest of these people should have been there. They should have been there. And they weren't. And as far as I'm concerned, it is an absolute abhorrent disgrace, something I've never seen. And I have earned the right to say this because I have lived in this town since 1985. I have covered this town since 1992, and here at the Observer on and off since 2006. I was on the other side of the podium from 1998 to 2000. Now I'm on this side of the podium, and those two freshmen should have been there. Because if Ed could be there, Ed Shea and Lou Batista could be there as well. George Zapata could have been there too, because they all work for the county of Hudson. And that's another question that I'm not even going to get into, because he has no business being the clerk to the county freeholders, or whatever they're called now. 24 years old. Are you kidding me? All right, I'm going to stop before I really lose my head and wind up getting a stroke. But I'm just giving you an idea of what we're up against here. I've never seen anything like it. We'll get back to this. Here is Carol Jean Doyle in front of the office that the interim mayor, Peter Santana, had painted for his 4 months in office. Are you kidding me? Oh, and that's her there. That's her there. So she's there standing in front of that, and that is fantastic. Here she is again with her son, Norman III. Uh, Norman is an incredible human being who went through a hell of a lot when he was in his teenage years. And he's been at her side every day since that tragic day when everything went south on the soccer field. And he lipped to her, "Mom, I love you," after she took the oath of office. And we just love Norman. He really do. And you can see Kim Ventoso's in the background there with Manny and Ed Shea behind him. And I think that's Melanie's sweater over there on the other side. And this was in the morning when she came in. The first thing that she said when she got there was that we're going to do this the right way. We're going to do this with all of you behind me and with no pomp and circumstance of needing to have a bagpiper there. So those are some of the photos from today. And that is what you got today. Now, I know there's going to be some people who are going to be very, very upset with me for going on a rampage here, and I haven't done this in a long time, but I felt the need to. I really do, because when I see something happen the way I saw what happened happen, it irks me to no end. And then the people who lied about it, too, on social media. There were so many people who lied about this. I'm going to tell you something else, folks. Back in October, when we were planning to have this debate, I invited all three candidates. I invited Carol Jean Doyle, I invited Sidney Ferreira, and I invited Peter Santana, all three of them. Sidney Ferreira responded to me within minutes, "I'll be there." Carol Jean Doyle did the same thing. And then I didn't hear from Santana for a week. And then he sends an email to me and says, "Under the circumstances, I will only agree to do a debate if it's in person." So that means my answer to you is no. And then I had the audacity to go out and say that he declined our offer to debate because he turned out and said that apparently he did want to debate, but he just didn't want to do it virtually. He wanted to do it in person. When you say no to something, no means no. No doesn't mean maybe. No, if we do it in another direction, maybe. Nothing like that. He said no to the invitation that we sent to him. He was the only one who said no to the invitation. He waited until after the deadline we imposed to tell us no. And then had the audacity to take to social media and say that I lied about him saying no to our invitation. I'm here to clear up the air here, folks. He is the liar here. He said no from the get-go. And I think the only reason he did this was because Uncle Jimmy told him he has to. There's no doubt in my mind that's exactly what happened in this case. So when he had the audacity to go out there and say that I was misleading the public and lying about his willingness to participate in the debate, when you said no, I do not agree to the format, you declined the invitation. You can use semantics of language all you want, but you were the one who lied. So don't accuse me of being a liar when it is in fact you who were the one who was misleading throughout all of this. And this is yet another reason, in my mind, why I know the voters of Kearny got this election right. They did. And I want to say something briefly about Sidney Ferreira, too. We said all we have to say about Carol Jean. Sidney Ferreira ran an incredibly good campaign. In fact, I would say he ran one of the best campaigns I've seen in the last 30 years. He did not go negative. He campaigned door to door every single day. Even when it rained, he would get to the phones and make phone calls to his potential voters. He had a lot of support behind him from the state Republican Party. But when I tell you he ran as classy a campaign as anybody could have run, I truly believe that. He really and truly did. And I don't think he had any mishaps along the way. I don't think he had any missteps along the way. I think he ran one of the best campaigns in a long time, notwithstanding what Carol Jean dealt with, okay, because she ran a phenomenal campaign as well. But Sidney did a great job. And the fact of the matter is that a Republican in the town of Kearny, where Kearny Democrats outnumber Republicans significantly, came in second place in this election, gives me hope. It does. It gives me hope that there will be others who will do this again, and I certainly hope that Sidney does it again, too. I'm sure he is bitterly disappointed today. I'm absolutely certain of it. Because in his mind, he really believed he was going to win yesterday. And before the election results came out, I believed he could. I really did. Because the campaign he ran in 2023 was nothing like the one he ran in 2021 or in 2022. You can't even compare those two. He'd be the first to admit all the mistakes he made. He did in the debate. And he also made mistakes in 2022 as well, when he ran with Dave Paskevich. He knows he made those mistakes, but he acknowledged them. What politician ever acknowledges mistakes that they do? He did. And so, as I kind of wrap this up here, I just wanted to say that Sidney ran a phenomenal campaign. There is no reason for him to be holding his head down today. What he did in this election was very, very solid, and he should be very, very proud of himself for that. So I have kind of touched on a gamut of things with this election, and I've said a few things that perhaps some of you will look at and say that I wasn't being objective. You're absolutely right, I wasn't. But I think after 30 years almost of doing this, I've earned that right. And I thank you for dealing with me today. And don't think again that this is representative of anybody else that sits in this office, of Lisa or Bob or anybody else. But I watched this from the beginning. I saw this happen. I've never seen anything like it again. I hope it never happens again. I really do. I really do, because it was a shame. And I'm going to tell you one other thing too. In 2017, when he was appointed a councilman, I was there for him the whole way. And we were always very, very supportive of his candidacy. I don't know what the hell happened, though. I really don't. It's like not the same person that I knew back in 2017. But it's all in the past now. And Carol Jean Doyle is the new mayor of the town of Kearny. And we wish her all the best and all the love as she begins this epic journey that she began so many years ago. You know, what a lot of people don't remember is that this is not the first time she ever ran for mayor, too. She did in 1995. And not only did she run in 1995, she ran a very tough campaign in 1995. She unfortunately didn't win. She lost to the eventual mayor of Leo Vartan, but just a year later she ran for councilwoman and won. So that's where it stands. That's where it stands. Carol Jean Doyle is the mayor of Kearny, and the interim mayor, Peter Santana, is out. And Sidney Ferreira ran a phenomenal campaign over the last 4 months. Melanie just reminded me that I posted his message. You're absolutely right. I posted the message that said that I do not agree to the debate. And he still went out there and said that that I lied. You don't call me a liar when I have the utter proof, and you don't get away with it. And I kept my mouth shut for 4 months. 4 months too long. It is 43 minutes past the hour. Kevin Canessa here with you on the Observer Live. Now, before I sign off, a few things, a few housekeeping items. We have a new deputy mayor here in the town of Kearny. She's in the chat room today. She will be sworn in tonight. and that is Melanie Ryan, and we congratulate her on that. And we are very, very happy that Councilwoman Doyle has chosen her to be the deputy mayor. There can be a couple of deputy mayors, and one of the current deputy mayors hopefully will be removed from that post tonight. And that's Eileen, not Eileen. What the hell's her name? Susan McCurry, the quote-unquote chairwoman of the party of the Democrats. So hopefully she will be removed tonight. And Deputy Mayor, what did I say? Deputy Councilwoman or Councilwoman? I'm sorry, Melanie Ryan is the Deputy Mayor of Kearny, one of a few that will be there. So, and then tonight at 7 p.m., the Town Council will get together, and I'm sure that will be a very interesting thing. I wonder if Dennis Solano will show up for that. Maybe he will. I'm sure it'll be nice if he does. And after we got back from the ceremony today, I'm sitting at the front desk, and then all of a sudden, this happens. Now, interestingly, when that fire went off, my car was parked right in front of it. I was luckily able to move it, but nobody was hurt, thank God. That happened right in front of the gas station across at Seeley and Kearny, and you're not going to believe this. There was an 18-wheeler truck in the gas station delivering fuel at the time. Fortunately, nothing happened there, but it could have been a disaster. So it would have been a very explosive ending to the swearing in of the new mayor, council. See, I just did it again, Melanie. New mayor, Carol Jean Doyle, and I keep saying councilwoman. She's the mayor now, so I apologize for saying councilwoman. After 27 years of calling her councilwoman, I have to get used to calling her mayor. So Melanie was answering Christine Coleman's question about what will happen. There'll be an appointment. I don't know how that's going to happen. That's going to be interesting, too, if they try to put somebody in there who is like somebody who doesn't get along with Carol Jean, which is possible since, they threw her off the county committee for no reason at all. Remember she did that? Remember that was also something that happened in this election when she was removed from county committee because they said she ran against a Democrat, the audacity of a Democrat to run against a Democrat in a democracy. Real funny. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with that. But that's where it stands. That is going to do it for this edition of the Observer Live. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me. So many of you here today: Carol Manley, Melanie Ryan, Christine Coma. Let's see. I don't want to miss anybody. I apologize. Larry Hanlon and Manny Ventoso and Melissa Moscaso is here as well. And let's see, I'm just scrolling up here. I apologize for babbling. Addie Boyd was here as well. Denise Pavlik was here. Denise, I'm sorry I didn't get to say hi. Kelly Scolar was here today too. Sorry I didn't get to say hello to you guys. Please say hi to Mom for me too. And there were a few others too. Oh yes, Eileen Matthew was here, as was Henry Atwell and Carmen De Jesus. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me. Don't forget, we will be back next week with another edition of the Observer Live, and I promise I won't be as animated next week. But until then, I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. And don't forget, if you don't have anything to do tonight at 7 p.m., head over to Town Hall to tonight's council meeting where you will see Mayor Carol Jean Doyle and Deputy Mayor Melanie A. Ryan. From the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com, Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Have a good rest of your Wednesday, everybody. Take care.